Practice Spotlight presentation on Universal Design for Learning. In this presentation, we will dive deep into the inclusionary practice of Universal Design for Learning, featuring a case study from Hood Canal Preschool in Skokomish, Washington. Let's dive in. What is Universal Design for Learning? Universal Design for Learning, or UDL, as it is commonly referred, is a framework developed by the Center for Applied Special Technology. CAST was founded by a group of researchers to explore using new technology to provide better educational experiences to students with disabilities. UDL is a framework that works to improve and optimize teaching and learning for all individuals based on scientific insights into how humans learn. Additionally, UDL has expanded to be a framework that works to meet the needs of all learners. To meet the needs of all learners, UDL assumes that the barriers to learning are in the design of the environment, not the student. UDL provides a perspective that moves away from viewing an individual for their deficits and looks at how the environment can be manipulated to enable the student to be successful. Finally, by removing barriers, it allows all learners to focus on the content of the learning objective rather than specific activities. Thus, the framework for UDL is essential in fostering inclusive learning environments in any setting across all grade levels. Why should we use UDL? For CAST and many others, the ultimate goal of UDL is for all learners to become expert learners. Expert learners are purposeful and motivated, resourceful and knowledgeable, strategic and goal-directed about learning. In using the UDL framework, it is the expectation that all learners become expert learners that are motivated to succeed. Self-determination can be an area of challenge for many students with cognitive delays and other disabilities. Fostering students to become self-determined will give them the confidence they need to be successful, to succeed, to pilot their own life in the future. What does Universal Design for Learning look like? First, let's look at a community and society examples of UDL. Some of the most common examples of universal design in the community are curb cuts, closed captions, elevators, speech to text, video calls, etc. All of these things were created on behalf of individuals who have needs related to accessibility and navigating their environment. Even though these examples were created for one specific population of individuals, many people have benefited from them. So how might UDL look like in the classroom setting? In the classroom, some of the most common examples of UDL are flexible seating, flexible timelines, speech to text, text to speech, autocorrect, computers, etc. Flexibility for the purpose of accessibility is key here. If you're familiar with individualized education plans or IEPs, you will notice that these look and sound a lot like accommodations, and they are. UDL in this case seeks to provide whatever a child needs in order to meet the learning objective, regardless of the student having an IEP or not. Accommodations are most often in place because students have difficulty meeting current classroom expectations. If a classroom culture is designed to address student challenges using student strengths in relation to a learning objective, then the student will have greater access to the lesson content and thus a greater chance for mastery and developing self-determined skills. Universal Design for Learning is made up of 3 principles. These principles are based upon variability rather than disability. The first principle of engagement looks at how one can engage all students. The second principle of representation looks at how one can present information in ways that reach all learners. The third principle of action and expression looks at how one can offer purposeful options for students to show what they know. This image is provided by CAST and provides a visual of each of the 3 principles. The 3 principles of UDL, engagement, representation, action, and expression, are broken down further to include information on how to plan for access, how to build knowledge, incentive, and the overall goal. This matrix is available for free download on the CAST website and is a highly useful tool in lesson planning. As mentioned previously, the first principle of engagement seeks to answer the questions of how to engage all learners. CAST, one of the founding organizations of UDL, provides the following questions and examples that can be used to guide lesson planning. Question 1 states, in what ways do I give students choice and autonomy? One way to address this question would be to survey students about their interests, strengths, and needs, as well as incorporating those findings into the lesson. Question 2 asks, how do I make learning relevant to students' needs and wants? One way to address this question would be to use choice menus for working towards goals. The last question provided asks, in what ways is my classroom accepting and supportive of all students? To answer this question, state the learning goals clearly in a way that feels relevant to students. The second guiding principle of UDL is representation. Specifically, how do we present information that is accessible to all? Question 1 asks, have I considered options for how printed text, pictures, and charts are displayed? One way to address this question would be to make it easy for students to adjust font sizes and background colors through technology. Question 2 asks, what options do I provide for students who need support engaging with text and/or auditory learning? One option would be to provide options for engaging with text, such as text-to-speech, audiobooks, or partner reading. The third guiding principle is action and expression. To address the principle of action and expression, we ask ourselves, how can I offer purposeful options for students to show what they know? This principle assists us with ways in moving away from grading based on particular activity and moves focus to the lesson objective or state standard. Question 1 asks, when can I provide flexibility in timing with pacing? One way to address this question would be to provide calendars and checklists to help students track the subtasks for meeting a learning goal. Question 2 asks, have I considered methods aside from paper and pencil tasks for students to show what they know? To address this question, it is recommended that students are allowed to show what they know through a variety of formats, such as poster presentation or a graphic organizer. Finally, question 3 asks, am I providing students access to assistive technology? To address this question, provide students with access to common assistive technology such as speech-to-text and text-to-speech to participate fully. Asking yourself all of these questions will help to create lessons that are designed for all students from the start, rather than having to scramble at the last minute to try and provide access and options through differentiation. Why is universal design for learning important? Firstly, UDL is important because it benefits all students in the classroom. Secondly, UDL provides educators with a variety of strategies and resources to help meet diverse learning needs, improve accessibility to learning opportunities, and increase student success. UDL identifies that each student learns differently and can benefit from having a variety of learning formats to choose from, flexible assessments, and tools to help with organization of new information and skills. What are the possible outcomes for utilizing universal design for learning? Now, the biggest benefit to UDL, which has been mentioned before, is that it benefits all learners. When UDL is leveraged correctly, it can provide opportunities for targeted intervention to individuals who have been identified as at risk. UDL ensures that students with individualized education plans or IEPs are able to receive instruction in core content areas from content area experts. UDL also provides opportunities for stretch learning, as student output is not limited to a set of directions. Keep in mind that stretch learning should always be available for every student, not just for students labeled as gifted. Implementing the UDL framework helps individuals become more self-determined and confident in their learning and other areas of life. When creating universally designed classrooms, curriculum, and lesson plans, there are a few important things to remember. First, UDL makes learning more accessible in general education classrooms so that individuals can learn core content from the content knowledge experts. Second, UDL presents information in ways that adapt to the learner instead of asking the learner to adapt to the information. This gives individuals more than one way to interact with the material, which provides more opportunities to develop self-determination skills. Third, UDL builds flexibility to allow students to utilize their strengths to address their areas of growth. This ties into the final bullet, which states that UDL The UDL framework reduces stigma by giving a variety of options to all students and not single out the few in need of formal accommodations, such as students with individualized education plans or 504 plans. At Hood Canal Preschool, they believe in providing each student with rigorous, relevant, and engaging learning experiences. Second, they believe in the importance of building and sustaining meaningful relationships with the students, staff, families, and the Skokomish tribe and the community. Thirdly, Hood Canal works hard to sustain a culture where everyone is felt respected and safe. The teachers, therapists, and parents have participated in developing and establishing a culture of inclusion with the district that provides love, support, empathy, and respect. These program practices are research-based and culturally, linguistically, and developmentally appropriate. Hood Canal Preschool Inclusive Program has identified the opportunity and need for universal design for learning to provide supports with the educational supports to increase learning achievement for all students. In the first phase of UDL, Hood Canal focused on closing the pre-literacy learning gap between students with disabilities and their non-disabled peers. The second phase focused on pre-mathematics skills. Hood Canal has been focusing on implementing new strategies and tools, realizing through the universal design how critical it is to teach to the edges. One way Hood Canal is utilizing UDL is through the use of STEM scopes. STEM scopes focuses on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics through all domains of early learning, which includes small and large motor skills and social emotional lessons. STEM codes change the early learning experience by teaching a variety of thinking and problem-solving skills. Current data on school readiness and early math and science achievement indicates that we were not giving young children the support they needed to be STEM smart. Utilizing STEM in a universally designed classroom created powerful changes to curriculum and instruction at Hood Canal. The implementation of UDL has necessitated dramatic changes in assessment. Teaching Strategies Gold is Hood Canal's main source of assessment. TS Gold affords educators in Hood Canal to observe and collect facts, analyze and respond, evaluate, summarize, plan, and communicate. The Hood Canal School Pre-K Inclusive Program is able to reach the potential of each student by enhancing their program using both instructional strategies and assessment strategies with universal design in mind. Hood Canal has been successful in shifting towards a more inclusive culture that honors all individuals and actively works to meet their goals. We hope that this spotlight supported your growth and development on the topic of universal design for learning. Firstly, we hope you now have a better understanding of the 3 guiding principles of UDL and its overarching framework. Secondly, that UDL benefits all learners in a classroom. Thirdly, that UDL makes learning more accessible in general education classroom where individuals are learning from content area experts. And finally, we hope you have walked away with the knowledge that all students can learn and that the barriers to learning are in the design, the environment, and not the student. Information on this spotlight topic was referenced from the following publications. Please see the Hearing Center website for more spotlight topics. Thank you.